maybe suggesting it wouldn't necessarily require a change in the trial date. So is it possible that means just maybe, I don't know, amending the racketeering charge to add more evidence? So does that mean maybe just adding additional supporting evidence to, let's say, the racketeering charge that is so widespread or overarching? Because the racketeering charge has a number of underlying crimes. I mentioned before, forced labor, kidnapping, obstruction, bribery. And so maybe they're just going to amend it with additional information. It's hard to say. I mean, prosecutors have alleged that they have evidence that Combs engaged in further acts of obstruction while he's been locked up in the MDC after his arrest, after the indictment, namely allegedly paying to use other inmates' phone access accounts, using three-way phone calls to contact people not approved on his contact list, evidence that he told his family to contact potential victims and witnesses in this case. So if they are going to now amend the indictment to include this, is that a possibility? Is that maybe why it won't change the structure of the case? It's not like an additional charge per se. Or maybe they say, look, we know there's a trial date, we get it, but that may change. I mean, we keep wondering if Combs is going to be hit with charges with respect to minors, since that is the basis of a lot of the civil lawsuits that he's currently facing since he was first criminally charged. And if they do end up charging him criminally at the federal level with respect to minors, that, I have to imagine, would include a lot more discovery, would change the whole tenor of this case, would change his entire defense strategy. But honestly, tough to say what to make from those remarks. Now, moving back to Combs' lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, he asked during this hearing that the racketeering charge, he said, is very vague, and that the prosecution, what they're alleging with multiple acts of arson and kidnapping, but he said it wasn't clear what events they're referring to. And he even suggested we anticipate a motion for a bill of particulars coming to the court. Now, a bill of particulars is when a defendant says to the government, look, I need some more clarity on my charges. Itemize it out for me. I need more details of each charge so I can properly understand the case and defend against it. And it's a way for a defendant to avoid being surprised at trial. And by the way, Combs' defense has asked for this before at another point in this case, including wanting to know the names of the victims in this case. So we'll see if they get a little bit more clarity or ask for more clarity about what the charges are. By the way, when Agnifilo talks about arson and kidnapping, in one of the government's first letters to the court at the very beginning of this case in September, they kind of explain what this is. They write, in the early morning hours of December 22nd, 2011, the defendant and a co-conspirator kidnapped an individual at gunpoint to facilitate breaking into and entering the residence of another individual one. Multiple witnesses would testify at trial to the events surrounding the kidnapping and break-in, the latter of which is corroborated by police reports and other records.